What's up guys, it's Will back again, and today's review is Ouija, Origin of Evil. Ouija, Origin of Evil is a supernatural horror film that was directed and co-written by Mike Flanagan and is the prequel to the 2014 film Ouija, making it the second installment in the Ouija franchise. Well, this film takes place in the year 1965 and primarily follows a widowed mother and her two daughters to spend a decent chunk of their time operating a seance scam business in order to bring in money to pay the bills. But one day, the mother, Alexander, played by Elizabeth Reaser, decides to add an Ouija board to the business's offerings, and she unknowingly opens her home to some cruel and merciless spirits. Eventually, a spirit takes possession of her youngest daughter, Doris, played by Lulu Wilson, and Doris eventually begins displaying unusual behavior while also channeling powers and abilities that defy logic. And the rest of the film is spent watching the Xander family attempt to rid these evil spirits from their home in an attempt to regain the somewhat normal lifestyles they led before they decided to start messing with the highly volatile spirit world. Okay, so to be completely honest, I went into this film with some pretty low expectations. When I saw the original trailer, I was like, wow, that looks generic as hell and like it's probably gonna suck. But I was thoroughly surprised with how good this movie was, and it just goes to show you that you can't always judge a movie by its trailer. Now I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys, this movie is nothing you haven't seen before 1,000 times already. It follows that same storyline of a family experiencing some sort of supernatural entity or entities invading their home, and usually their youngest child eventually gets possessed, and then things go to shit as they try to rid the child of the possessive spirit. However, this film took that generic horror plot and executed it at the highest level possible by delivering you a strong performance in almost every single aspect. The biggest difference between this film and other films that have basically the same exact plot were the characters and the acting. This is essentially a 4-character movie, with 3 characters, the Xander women, receiving the vast majority of the screen time. I thought each of these 3 actresses were perfect for the respective role, and their performances combined with the very nicely written dialogue and overall pacing of the story had me incredibly invested in their characters. Elizabeth Reaser delivered a really well-rounded performance as Alice, the mother and head of the household, as she excelled in a number of different areas. Her character is a widow that lost her husband far too soon, and every day she struggles with a number of difficult choices she has to make. As if living without your true love wasn't hard enough, she also struggles financially supporting and raising her 2 daughters that seem to have a little trouble fitting in and making friends at their local school. And she also has to live with the fact that she scams people for a living, although she does try to justify it to herself by saying she helps give people closure. But I thought Elizabeth Reaser really did an awesome job delivering a very layered and well-rounded character, something you rarely see from horror movies these days. The eldest child of the household, Lena, played by Annalise Basso, did a very nice job displaying that adolescent/teenage angst in a way that never actually felt obnoxious at all. The filmmakers did a really nice job showing you the everyday normal routine of Lena and any teenage girl really in a way that never feels monotonous or uninteresting. I think Lena might actually experience the most character development over the course of the film because as the story progresses and the plot thickens, you get to watch her maturation process as she begins to take charge and feel more comfortable with who she really is. This is the first time I've seen Annalise Basso in anything before, but she has a very bright future ahead of her. I can't wait to see more of her work. And the final lead actress in this film is the youngest daughter, Doris, played by Lulu Wilson. Doris is the one that primarily interacts with the spirit world, and this leads to her ultimately getting possessed. Lulu Wilson's versatility really impressed me in this one because she goes from being a sweet, innocent, and very likable young girl in the beginning of the film to a creepy and deranged, possessed little demon from Act 2 and on. Her performance was very impressive, and I have to say that I think she was the best acted character in a film that's full of strong acting performances. The 4th character I should mention is Father Tom, played by Henry Thomas. Father Tom is the principal at the nearby school that Lena and Doris attend, and he eventually finds himself in the middle of this whole spirit world ordeal as he feels an obligation to help. He did a very nice job being an outside voice of reason to this whole family drama spirit conflict. Okay, so as for the horror, I should let you know that this film takes its time with the horror. In the first 2 acts, you might get like maybe 2 to 3 brief scenes that give you quick sneak peeks of the spirits, but this time is mostly spent gradually progressing the story and developing our characters. Now this might upset those that were planning on going to see this one and hoping they get this balls to the wall horror flick from start to finish. This isn't necessarily that kind of movie. For the first 2 acts, I was sitting very satisfied in the theater thinking about how I was going to let you guys know in my review that this movie is a somewhat unbalanced mixture of drama and standard horror. But when Act 3 hits, you horror junkies will get exactly what you love with some crazy, thrilling, and scary conflict. There are a handful of really well-timed jump scares that caught me off guard, but the majority of the horror is told through the shocking visuals that are meant to perturb you. I was honestly shocked to see that this movie is only PG-13 and not R because there's some crazy things shown that definitely push the boundaries of what a PG-13 film can show. I'll just say that. But yeah, this movie is very, very scary, and I think that the film delivers on its primary purpose of scaring you, considering it is a horror movie after all. Real quick though, I want to discuss the climax of the film. I did for the most part really enjoy it, but there were a few parts leading up to and during the climax that I didn't quite love. Before you actually hit the climax, you get this huge exposition dump scene that, I mean, I get why they did it because the movie's almost over and you have to explain things to the audience, but this should have been done down a bit more gradually in my opinion. And then how the story resolves itself, I liked it, but I didn't quite love it because I think it can be a tad bit confusing. These are very minor complaints though. The last thing I want to mention is the cinematography. Wow, is it good. I gotta hand it to them, the filmmakers did an amazing job constructing this film visually. Everything from how it's shot and edited to capture the feel and setting of the 1960s film with things like cigarette burns to the actual horrific and very scary visuals themselves, which really had me immersed into the story and its environments. But overall, I think Ouija Origin of Evil is a very strong film. I thought it had a very dramatic, suspenseful, and scary story, great acting and characters, great dialogue, and very strong cinematography. The only knock I have on this film is the exposition dump before the climax and the slightly confusing resolution. I'm gonna give Ouija Origin of Evil a 9.5 out of 10 and definitely recommend you go see this one in theaters if you're looking for a well-acted, very scary horror film. So did you guys see Ouija Origin of Evil yet? What did you think of it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if not, let me know whether you'd be interested in watching this film or not. And as always, if you like this video, click that like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for much more content like this. That's all for now though. This is WillFoxification signing off. See you in the next review.